Hi there, this is Life Prepper here, and I'm just simply thinking about things. I get $16 a month food stamps. I go once a month to get some food, but I use my stamps and I use my food. But here's a simple point of logic. What would happen if all the food banks closed down, if all the food stamps was cut off? What point? What would happen? Now, over the years, I have had to go get food. Not because I wanted to, because I had to, just to live a little bit. Even that little bit of food made a difference whether I had something in my stomach or not. But at the same time, a lot of people take advantage of it. I was in court one day over some stuff, and this couple was sitting in front of me, and I was talking about just struggling. That I go on Tuesdays to get this food, and I've been living off of apples and noodles, just basically living off of it. They gave me back a bunch of free apples, and I've been living off noodles because it was cheap. And they told me, says, well, if you need the numbers, we have all the list of numbers of all the places you can go get food. Okay. All right. So one person told me where to go and get some food at. I went one time up there to get it. But I listen to people. When I'm in line, you can't help but hear them talk. Can't help but hear them talk about it now. I talked to one lady I used to go where I get food at. And she says, I just work part-time. And said, what I get here helps get me through on things. So that's understandable. But at the same time, here's other people I've listened to. I've listened to people when I was waiting on some things about the party last night. They was all drunk. They had a good time. They did all this stuff. They was partying. So all their money went to drinking and probably a little bit of this or whatever. So also, a lot of people sell their stamps. They sell their food stamps to pay for their drug habit or have a little bit of money. Instead, they count on these food banks to take care of them and their kids. So what would happen if what, stepped in and says all food banks has to go? In the state of Florida, they've already made it against the law to feed the homeless. There was a big issue over that. So it's something to think about, isn't it? Many homeless people have chose that lifestyle for different reasons. Some of it was due to their lifestyle issues, their drug addiction, their alcohol addiction, whatever. Many of them is mental issues. They just don't feel comfortable anywhere. They don't fit anywhere. They left because of that. They won't stay on their meds, whatever the deal is. They live like that. Many of them lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their family. They lost everything. And they just end up living on the street. Now, I've talked to different ones over the years. Just live like that. Many of them has came off the streets. They've talked to me about it. They came off the streets. They got a job. They got settled in. But even then, a lot of them thought about, I worked with one guy who had lived like that. He has a family and everything. He don't have to live like that. But he did live like it. He chose to live like that. That's what he told me. I chose to live like that. He came back, stayed with his family for a number of months, end up in time losing a job. He has issues about being around people and things. He can handle it. His situation creates these issues, but he has no kids. He's not married, so he had chose that lifestyle. So in return, these people of all races, all faiths, all problems, including me, count on that little bit of food. Now, some count on a lot of food. They got the numbers on speed dial. But if all the governments step in, and they're already stepping in many of the states saying you can't feed the homeless anymore, and they're going to tell the churches you can't feed, they got to feed them meals for the seniors. They got programs to help families. But what would happen if they said no more? It's against the law. You can't feed anybody. I want all these food banks to shut down. It's not going to happen. If they don't have children, then you don't feed them. These people need to get a job. Some of the states is already taking food stamps away from people and telling them they got to get a job. They got to go through job training. Where I live at, if you don't have a job, you don't have nobody support, basically, you have to volunteer 3 times a week, a total of 30 hours to do work to get your stamps. So they're tightening up on it. But what would happen if all these food banks shut down? I mean, no more, you're not allowed to feed the homeless. The church is no longer allowed to feed the homeless. The only ones they can give food to is people with children. The only way seniors can get any food is if it's Meal on Wheels. Everything's restricted. All these charities and these second harvest places and all this that feeds these people. They cut the food stamps out. Says no more food stamps. Or they cut the food stamps in half. And saying, here. Or they turn around and says no more food stamps. You show up at a appointed date. And you collect your food for the month. And we're going to give you what we decide to give you. It means no more going in the stores and buying potato chips or candy or buying steaks or whatever. They're going to give you what they think you should get. You're going to get your rice, you're going to get your flour, you're going to get your cornmeal. They're going to give you your bases. Now, maybe some powdered milk, whatever it is, maybe milk, but they're going to decide what you eat. They're going to cut the budget down. They're going to control your food, and they're going to decide. Now, my $16 a month don't go very far. Really don't. So I have to decide what I'm going to spend. I buy a few eggs. I buy whatever I can catch on sale, some soup, some noodles, things like that I can have. Is pasta the best thing in the world for me to eat? It fills my belly. Genetic makeup, I've got weight. It's genetic makeup. I'm limited on my physical activities. I don't burn the amount of calories I used to burn. But you know what? A bowl of noodles will fill my belly up. But say they do close these banks down and they put a restriction on everything. No more food stamps. If you sign up for it, you have to show up at a certain time with your card, and you will get a once a month food supply for yourself. That's it, bottom line. The only ones that gets food stamps is people with children. That's it. No more. I mean, that's all it gets, and then we're going to restrict that. On there, you can't buy potato chips. You can't buy candy. We're going to put a restriction on what you can get. Bottom line. Cutting the food stamps in half, and this is all you're allowed to get on the list. No more allowed to feed the homeless anywhere. No more allowing anybody to work for food stamps, volunteer work for 3 months or whatever, 30 hours a week. No more is that allowed. No more are you allowed from churches to just give people food. No more. It's done. So what would happen with people if that wasn't there anymore? How would they survive? Would they have to get a job? Would they have to change their diet? It's a lot to think about. So what would they do in that situation? You tell me what you think they would do. I think there'd be a lot of unhappy people. And I think there'll be a lot of people like me with the limits. And I can live without that $16 a month because I know how to live off the land. I can eat nature's food. I can raise my own gardens or whatever to do. I can do what I can to survive. So it ain't going to bother me none. But these people who's very dependent on it, what would they do in this situation? This is Life Prepper here. I want you to be safe, be happy. Bless you all.